Thank you. The next speaker is Sri K. Vasudeva Rao. He has received his Master of Technology degree in Computer Science from IIT Kanpur in 1999. Subsequently, Sri Rao joined Bangalore-based networking company Nobel Laureates for 1 year. His deep interest is scientific understanding of spirituality and inspiration of Dr. T.D. Singh, His Holiness Vrajapati Swami, a well-known scientist and Bhaktivedantist, guided him to pursue the research career in Vedanta and science. In order to fulfill inner interest, Vasudeva joined Bhaktivedanta Institute, Kolkata in 2000. Currently, he is serving the institute as president and editor of one of its journal called Savijnanam. Vasudeva, please.
Thank you very much. I'm going to speak on science, spirituality, and human values. Couple of things were mentioned by our chief guest and other dignitaries in the inaugural session. In the beginning, I'm going to tell you a few things, how our journey in science has forced us actually to rethink about our spiritual traditions, our spiritual aspects of our reality. Just like in India, in the West also, in the beginning, science, spirituality were together. Same people were doing the science, same people were doing the spirituality. In fact, some of the many findings in science were done by the priests of the churches. But here, since science has grown, the modern science we study in the West, the science and spirituality actually got divided into two different paths, and actually the spiritual traditions, they made some mistakes in accepting the scientific reality. So the science has started as a adventure of explaining the reality without the need of religion. Scientists were pretty confident with the success, in the initial success that they had with the scientific method, that we will be able to explain everything to our structured scientific laws through any amount of precision we want. But as we progressed in the science itself has shown us that two streams cannot stay apart. You have to come together. So I will give a couple of examples. Go next. So the scientific method is, when it started as an objective pursuit. Means everyone can do the experiment and get the same result. But as we advanced in the science, the quantum mechanics has shown us that the experimental result is just dependent on the experimental setup. It is also dependent on the experimenter, you, the conscious being who is doing the experiments. Similarly, we started exploring the galaxies, exploring outer space, thinking that we will get final answers and that would be end of the religion. And we pursued our science in a very enthusiastic way. And one of the interesting theories about the origins, our own origins, the origin of our universe, is the Big Bang theory. I'm not going into very details, many of you have already heard about it, but it has opened up it has opened up a way, it has opened up a door for the science and spirituality to come together. Science said that faith has no room in acquiring the scientific knowledge. We can do it with our experiments, we can do it with our data. You don't need any faith in anything. Everything I can show you with my experimental data. But next. But when we studied the universe, we found very, very extraordinary, astonishing things in the universe. We found out many constants in the universe. We have speed of light, many other constants, the mass of proton, mass of neutron, electron, the ratio of proton, electron. These have very precise values, and we figured out if these values are little different, the universe which we are living in so happily will not be here. If the ratio of the mass of electron and proton are not the same as they are, if there is slight difference, the atom will not be stable. Now the atom, the picture at least we have is that the nucleus is stable and the electrons are somewhere, whether revolving or quantumly, somewhere they are there. So these constants have given us a great, how do we explain these constants? How do we come together to form those constants where you and me can sit together, we can have nice breakfast, we can write nicely, the things which we interact, they are so solid. So how do we explain these things? So scientists have started exploring the possibilities. One of the possibilities they came conclusion, one of the possibilities was that next is the multiverse hypothesis. The multiverse hypothesis was that, okay, there are many universes like our universe, and by chance our universe turned to be the way it is, where the constants of the physical constants have gained those values. So this could be one of the explanations, otherwise we have to say just chance. But we also don't know exactly what is the chance or whether we can really believe in that. But how true or how definite is the multiverse? Do other universes do exist? Our universe is so vast that we are so overwhelmed to just study this universe, and we have no access whatsoever to see any other universe exist at this point of time. So at this point of time, the only solace or only way we can comfort ourselves is that is a kind of faith that there are other universes that exist. So we started with the belief that we don't need faith to explain our universe, but now we have arrived at a point that we need some kind of faith in our scientific theories to describe our world. Next. Professor George F.R. Ellis is a Templeton Laureate. Nowadays, just like Nobel Laureates, they have started Templeton Laureate, those who do great work in bringing together science and spirituality, expanding our understanding about the scientific as well as spiritual realities. There is a prize, Templeton Prize, every year they give prize. He is one of the Templeton Laureates. He is a great mathematician. I have heard a couple of his lectures. He speaks in 1 minute there will be many sentences you will not be able to catch up. And he actually says that I do not see any serious difference in the faith you need to believe in a multiverse and the faith you need to believe in a God who creates it all. So dear friends, now the scientists, some of the scientists, those who go deep into the things, they started questioning their own method of science. So maybe that the things which we have abandoned in the beginning, maybe we still require in order to proceed in our scientific pursuit. Next. And similarly, next, what is life? Just like I have mentioned a few points in the my beginning inaugural speech, that what is life? We started assuming, with the assumption that life can be explained with the interaction of fundamental forces in the universe. But as we progressed in physics, in chemistry, in biology, we have similarly come across many difficulties. And now biologists, some of them are really thinking whether life can be really produced with the combination of biomolecules. One of the scientists, Bernard Arbor, Nobel Laureate in Physiology and Medicine, he expresses that RNA alone is not life. Life is more than RNA and DNA. I think that life could be beyond the assembly of biomolecules. It is not just the assembly of biomolecules, because there are so many aspects of our existence which we cannot explain with the interaction of these biomolecules. Next. So some of the deep thinkers in science, they started thinking, perhaps we may never be able to, how do we explain this morality based on our scientific understanding as we have today? So one of the explanations we have is that whatever we feel, whatever we think, this is a kind of an extreme position, that it is simply basically everything happening in the brain, the neuron interactions, and nothing more than that. So then we came up with a contradiction, that suppose if somebody has done some crime, so who is the culprit? Is the person who is the culprit? Or the neurons in his brain the culprit? Who is actually the person? What actually is the cause of that crime? Somebody may say that, my lord, I have not done crime, there is some misfiring in my brain, and then this crime has been committed. So I pardon that, I may be please excused. So, but all of us know that there is something intrinsic in that person, which intentionally he did it. It is not just the neural firing in the brain. So when we take extreme steps, extreme position, we do encounter contradictions, we do encounter difficult positions, paradoxes, which we have theories but we cannot leave them. Next. Similarly, another extreme position, I think sometimes it helps science, they take extreme position in order to just get enthusiasm, and it helps them to further progress the science, but at the same time it also gives some difficulties for understanding the deeper aspects of our existence. One of that is this computer science, artificial intelligence. They say we are just computer programs, artificial intelligence. So for the scientists it is very simple for them to assume this and start, but it has profound implications for us. Can we really live with that conviction? One of the examples, this is given by Professor Roger Penrose. When we send somebody to the space, we are very, very concerned. We feel responsible that we must bring back that person. We feel very responsible. But when we send a robot to the space, we don't feel so much responsible. We think it is okay, if a robot goes away, it is okay, we don't feel so much responsible. If we really believe that the robot can be exactly a human being, why we feel that a robot, not necessarily, if it comes is okay, but a human being must be brought back somehow. The value of life is very important. So why do we feel that? So if we really think deep into our own self, because our self is the meeting point of both science and spirituality. It is we do the objective experiments, who do the subjective experiments of interacting with one another, our innate feelings. So our self really is the meeting place of both science and spirituality. If we really deeply think and meditate and explore and see whether these things can be really the way we are doing, you will really realize that it is not so. They have to be bring together. Next. So Sir Roger Penrose, a deep thinker, he says that this legal issue of responsibility, legal issue of responsibility, seems to imply that there is indeed within each of us some kind of an independent self with its own responsibility. Very great thinker and very great conclusion he arrives at. It's not possible for many to go in this direction. But if you think deeply, it will be the implication. Otherwise, we can remove all the courts. We don't need any security, no police stations. We can just leave that this is all just molecules interacting in the society. But we cannot live with that proposal. We feel that there is room for morality, ethics. We have to be moral, and these are fundamental to our existence.